The world had frozen over. The cold was a predator, but the dead were worse. On a routine supply run, I got tagged. The bite on my thigh was a death sentence, and I was fading fast. My wife, Dr. Evelyn Reed, the director of the sanctuary's entire medical research division, vetoed the life-saving serum. To avoid the appearance of favoritism, she said. Her solution was cleaner, more decisive. Amputate my entire right leg. 20 years we'd been through together, from the first frost to the fall of cities. I'd never asked her for a thing. But that time I begged. If I lose my leg, I can't fight, I pleaded, my voice cracking. I'll be useless to the sanctuary. You know what they do to the useless. They'll throw me to the dead. She looked at me with a pained, pitying expression, promising she'd make sure I got the serum. The next thing I knew, a sharp sting hit my neck. I woke up strapped to an ice-cold operating table. Through the fog, I heard her voice talking to one of her researchers. Director, Leo's test came back negative for the necrovirus. Why are we still proceeding with the amputation? Evelyn's voice was firm, yet laced with a deep, theatrical sorrow. Ever since my brother's real family was found, I realized Caleb has no one. He has no blood relatives left in this world. I'm all he has. I can't let him down. He's not a strong field agent. As long as Leo Vance is in the picture, Caleb will never make captain of the Vanguard. It's not fair to him. Leo has to make this sacrifice. And Leo, I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to him. The words plunged my heart into an abyss of ice. In that single devastating moment, I understood. I would never matter as much as her precious, manipulative Caleb, the boy who wasn't even her brother. All her affection, all her love, was just a sugar coating on a dose of arsenic. My limbs were bound tight. I thrashed against the restraints, a useless, frantic struggle. A few researchers entered, their faces grim. They were her students, people I'd personally dragged from a horde of the dead years ago. When the sanctuary's medical wing was established, I'd vouched for them, gotten them these positions, saving them from being cast out as non-essential personnel. The sedative was kicking in, blurring the edges of my vision. With a final surge of strength, I snagged the sleeve of one of them. My voice was a whisper. Help me. I'm not infected. I'll quit the Vanguard. I'll do anything. Just don't take my leg. Please, don't let me become a cripple. They hesitated, just for a second. Then Evelyn's voice cut through from outside the operating room. Why hasn't the procedure begun? A beat of silence. After this is done, I'll keep my promise. A recommendation for a senior researcher position for each of you. The bright overhead light vanished as someone leaned over me. I heard a quiet sigh. A needle pressed against my neck, cold and final. Captain Vance, I'll never forget that you saved my life. You're a hero, one of them murmured. Don't worry, we won't let you feel a thing. You've done so much for all of us, said another. Just help us one last time. With that recommendation, we can get clearance for the inner sector. No more perimeter duty. No more worrying about the dead. I heard the sickening sound of a saw biting into bone. A single, hot tear escaped the corner of my eye and traced a path down my temple. When I woke up again, I was in a recovery ward. My hand trembled as I reached down. Where my right thigh should have been, the pant leg was empty, cold, and flat. Leo, you can relax. The infected limb is gone. You're safe now, Evelyn said, perched on the edge of the bed. We fitted you with a state-of-the-art prosthetic. You won't be able to fight the dead anymore, but you'll manage day-to-day life just fine. Caleb was there too, a smug, triumphant smile playing on his lips. Leo, I made you some of that creamy shrimp chowder you like. Stewed it for 3 hours myself. Took a lot of work. Here, you have to try it. Evelyn took the bowl, blew on a spoonful, and brought it toward my mouth. Shrimp is so hard to come by now. Caleb spent half his month's ration credits to get this for you on the black market. I slapped it away. The bowl clattered to the floor, hot chowder splashing everywhere. Leo, Evelyn shot to her feet, her face flushed with anger. If you're angry, take it out on me. Why waste the food? I pushed myself up, my left hand gripping my trembling right to steady it. I stared at the woman I had loved for 7 years. Each word felt like it was being ripped from my throat. I'm allergic to shellfish. Evelyn's expression froze. She opened her mouth to say something, then shut it again. Oh man, Leo, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I completely forgot, Caleb said, his face a mask of contrition. I was just trying to help you get your strength back. I messed up. Evelyn, don't be mad at him. It's normal for him to be upset. He's having trouble accepting. On that last run, he continued, if I had just been a little more careful, maybe you wouldn't have gotten bit at all. Leo, if you still can't accept it, I'll go to command. I'll quit the Vanguard with you. Evelyn cut him off before he could finish. She glared at me, her voice dripping with fury. Leo, if you want to lash out at me. Don't take it out on a kid like Caleb. For years, Caleb has been racking up commendations while you get yourself infected on a simple recon mission. Command has been unhappy with you for a while. Your removal from a Vanguard was a decision from the top brass. She turned to Caleb, her tone softening to a honeyed warmth. Caleb, you're the captain of the Vanguard now. You're the man of this house. Don't say foolish things about leaving with him. You have a bright future. You did nothing wrong, and you don't owe him a thing. You don't need to apologize. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Caleb's commendations? Those were my commendations. I'd given them all to him, just so he could find his footing in the Vanguard. Infected on a simple mission? That was because Caleb disobeyed a direct order, drew a swarm, and I got mauled while pulling his ass out of the fire. He was 25 years old and couldn't even handle a single walker on his own. Without me, he would have been kicked out of the Vanguard on his first day. I closed my eyes. The irony was suffocating. For years, whatever Caleb wanted, Evelyn made me give it to him. In my heart, Caleb will always be my little brother. He's just a kid, she'd say. Leo, you're my husband. Are you really going to start keeping score over family? No, I never kept score. And now, she'd had my legs sawn off for him, turned me into a cripple, and still expected me not to keep score. I couldn't do it. Not anymore. A mountain of resentment suffocated me, making it hard to breathe. Evelyn, I said suddenly, I want a divorce. She shot up from her chair. Don't be ridiculous. Leo, there's a limit to these tantrums, she said, a sneer twisting her lips. A divorce? Do you really have a nerve? Even without your combat abilities, you're still my husband. You get to live in the inner sector. If we divorce, you know exactly what happens to you, don't you? I said nothing. Of course I knew. Without Evelyn's protection, I'd be thrown out into the outer sector. The walls there were weak, constantly at risk of being overrun. I'd be nothing more than food for the dead. It's why those researchers were so willing to become her accomplices for a chance to move inside. A brilliant two birds, one stone plan. But if I didn't divorce her, I'd spend the rest of my life living under Caleb's heel. Evelyn pulled 2 nutrient packs from her pocket and shoved them into my hand. You can't eat the chowder, so have these. You need to keep your strength up. Leo, I promise. As long as you behave, I will protect you. Protect me? Sorry, Evelyn. I don't believe you anymore. The dead in the outer sector were terrifying, but nothing compared to the malice of the person sleeping next to you. I remember the day, just before the world ended, when Evelyn's real brother showed up with a DNA test. That's when we learned Caleb had been switched at birth. Before any official family reunion could happen, the apocalypse arrived. The poor real brother, her true flesh and blood, didn't even make it to his sanctuary. He was infected and left for dead outside the walls. And Caleb? He continued to live as Evelyn's brother, enjoying the special privileges that came with it. They stayed safe in the inner sector while I fought on the front lines. For years, I brought her rare specimens of the dead for her research, allowing her to publish paper after paper, making her famous. People called her the last hope of humanity, the savior who would develop the cure. Meanwhile, in the Vanguard, Caleb was incompetent but arrogant, constantly endangering the squad. I was the one who carved a bloody path out of every mess he created, protecting him every step of the way. I even gave him credit for my own victories. The top brass knew the truth, but the general public, unaware, hailed Caleb as a great hero. I had done everything I possibly could for them. But for Evelyn, it was never enough. She worried my presence was blocking Caleb's career path, that people would gossip. So she simply had my ability to fight taken away, forcing me out of the Vanguard. Sunlight streamed through the window, but I felt no warmth. The signs had always been there. I chased her for 7 years before she finally agreed to marry me. Caleb cried and threw a fit, not wanting her to get married. Every time he did, she'd find an excuse to postpone the wedding. When I got angry, she'd say, I'll have less time for him after we're married. You've waited 7 years. Can't you wait a few more months? I waited. On our wedding night, Caleb came down with a high fever. Evelyn left me, her new husband, to go sit by his hospital bed. He always needs to hold my arm to fall asleep when he's sick, she'd explained. I don't trust anyone else to look after him. I forgave her. Later, when the truth about Caleb being switched at birth came out, she sat up all night, staring at our marriage certificate. When her parents wanted to throw Caleb out, she didn't hesitate to bring him into our home. He has no family now, Leo, she told me. He only has me. She held my hand and swore, we're married now. I will be a good wife to you. I promise. But Caleb will always be my brother. I accepted it. But every concession, every compromise, wasn't met with respect or understanding. It just made her demand more. I couldn't help but ask her, Evelyn, if you had known Caleb wasn't your brother before we got married, would you still have married me? She stared at me, speechless. Stop talking nonsense, she finally said. Leo, I know you're emotional right now. You just need to rest. She didn't answer the question. I smiled. I guess I already knew the answer. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the silver locket around Caleb's neck. It was my mother's. The last thing she gave me before she died. On our wedding day, I had placed it around Evelyn's neck, a charm to keep her safe. Now it was on him. My vision turned red. Ignoring the fire in my amputated leg, I lunged out of bed to grab it. Why are you wearing that? Give it back. Caleb stumbled back, terrified by my ferocity. Evelyn gave it to me. She said it would keep me safe. Evelyn jumped between us, trying to shield him. In the chaos, she shoved me. I lost my balance and crashed hard onto the floor. The locket flew from Caleb's neck, hit the tile ground, and shattered into pieces. My body was pressed against the cold floor, a mix of agony and icy despair washing over me. A flicker of regret crossed Evelyn's face. Caleb is weak, and he has to go out on missions with the Vanguard every day. I just wanted the locket to protect him. It's just a little trinket. It's not that special. I'll buy you a new one. There's no need to fight with him over it and make such an ugly scene. Was I the one fighting with him? For all these years, who was the one really taking everything? It was Caleb. He had taken everything from me. I started to laugh, a broken, hysterical sound as tears streamed down my face. A panic flickered in Evelyn's eyes. She reached down to help me up. You just had surgery. Don't lie on the floor. You'll make it worse. Before her hand could touch me, the hospital's emergency alarms blared to life. A blood-curdling scream echoed from down the hall. Dead. Someone's turned. I twisted my head. Not far from my room, several contorted figures were shuffling forward, a low hiss emanating from their throats. Their eyes were blood-red, the unmistakable sign. Run, someone yelled, before a walker bit into him, tearing him in half. Caleb's face went white with terror. Evelyn, we have to go. They're coming. We don't have any weapons. We'll be torn to pieces. Evelyn hesitated, her eyes darting between me on the floor and Caleb. She made a move to help me, but Caleb, in a pathetic display of cowardice, fainted dead away. Evelyn, for all her training, was still only one woman. She couldn't possibly carry 2 grown men. I watched her, my expression unreadable. Time stretched and snapped. With a grunt, Evelyn gritted her teeth, slung Caleb's arm over her shoulder, and hauled him to his feet. Leo, once we're clear, I'll send a team back for you. I promise. Of course. When it came down to a choice, I never truly believed she would choose me. I gathered the broken pieces of my mother's locket, my mind clearer than it had been in years. Go, Evelyn. Take Caleb and go. I don't need your protection. They disappeared down the emergency stairwell. I struggled to prop myself up, watching the dead shamble hungrily toward me. The sharp edges of the locket dug into my palm, drawing blood. Vanguard standard response time was 15 minutes. Just enough time for the dead to strip the flesh from my bones. Goodbye, Evelyn. The next second, bullets ripped through the skulls of the dead. They shrieked and groaned, collapsing in a heap right in front of me. I fell back, the air thick with the stench of decay. Safe for the moment, I realized the locket fragments were embedded deep in my hand, the pain sharp and electric. Captain Vance, are you all right? Several figures in full hazmat gear helped me to my feet. I couldn't see their faces through the thick masks, but I knew one thing. They weren't Vanguard. The director wants to see you. Please come with us, Captain. Their tone was polite, but their grips on my arms were like steel. I had no choice. The armored vehicle rumbled through the sanctuary's sterile streets. At a corner, I saw Evelyn, her face a mask of panic, leading a Vanguard team back toward the hospital. I was surprised. She actually came back for me. Too bad. At her pace, if someone hadn't gotten to me first, I'd already be in pieces. I closed my eyes. The past spooled out behind me. I remembered proposing, how Evelyn drank with me all night before finally saying yes. But when she was drunk, she'd murmured Caleb's name over and over again. If it weren't for the lie of their blood relation, maybe he was the one she had always wanted. And then, just as she had finally given up on that and agreed to build a life with me, her real brother had appeared. He had wept in front of her parents, telling them how Caleb's biological parents had abused and tormented him. Evelyn, heavily pregnant at the time, had tried to defend Caleb from her parents' fury, and the stress sent her into early labor. The baby was born prematurely. He was so small his eyes still fused shut. He died after 2 days in an incubator. Evelyn herself was devastated, physically and emotionally. She lay in a hospital bed for a week. When she finally woke up, her face was pale, and the first words out of her mouth were, "How's Caleb?" She didn't ask about the child she'd carried for 9 months. She didn't ask about her father, who'd had a stroke from the stress. She didn't ask about me, her husband, who hadn't left her side for a week. She only asked about Caleb. I opened my eyes. That was the moment I knew. In her heart, Caleb was the only one who truly mattered. The vehicle stopped. I was helped out. Standing before me was the sanctuary director, a woman in her late 50s with silver-streaked hair. She gave me 2 choices. 1, she would give me a new identity and a residence permit for the intersector. I'd receive a monthly stipend of 20 pounds of grain and be left to live on my own. 2, I could join her new program as a test subject for the cure. They would erase my existence. No one would ever find me. The director's eyes, though aged, were sharp as glass. "Leo, your physiology is unique. When you returned from your mission, we detected the necrovirus in your system. But miraculously, 24 hours later, not only had you not turned, but the virus had vanished completely. If you join this experiment, we might be able to synthesize an antibody from you. We could end this godforsaken apocalypse. I give you my word, the process will not be painful. We will only need your blood. You will have no contact with the dead, and there will be no physical experimentation. However, drawing that much blood will take a toll. Even if we succeed, by the time the world is safe again, you may not have much time left. Leo Vance, are you willing?" A shock went through my body. I was silent for a long time. The director smiled and handed me a cup of hot tea. "It's all right, Leo. Take your time to think. Those researchers who operated on you," she added, "I've already had them quietly dealt with. Reassigned to the wall guard in the outer sector. They were killed in the last swarm. As for Caleb, Evelyn is protecting him for now, so we can't touch him. But the next time a major swarm approaches, I will personally order him to lead the Vanguard in a battle, and it will be broadcast live across the entire sanctuary. For years, the people of this sanctuary have mistaken glass for diamonds. I will let them see Caleb for the fraud he is. As for Evelyn, she will be suspended. I will make her watch and see the catastrophic error of her choice. And I promise you, unless you give the word, I will never tell her where you are. Is that satisfactory?" The old woman's back was stooped, but she stood tall. She was kind and generous to those she found useful and ruthless to those she didn't. In this world, only a leader that cold could protect the most people. I knew that better than anyone. Outside the sanctuary's walls, the Arctic chill could freeze a man solid in minutes. As the years went on, the temperature kept dropping. Plants wouldn't grow, animals died off. If things continued like this, humanity was doomed. I took a sip of the hot tea. "I'll join the project," I said. "But I have one condition. Have your people go my home with Evelyn. Destroy everything that has to do with me. And tell her I'm dead. And if I'm lucky enough to help you develop the cure and survive until the end, I want enough money and resources to live out the rest of my days in peace." A warm smile spread across the director's wrinkled face. "Done. I agreed to it all." She beckoned 2 guards over. "Announce it. As of 30 minutes ago, Leo Vance was killed by the dead in the recovery ward." She stood up, her eyes shining with hope. "Leo, Welcome to Project Stardust. The future of the sanctuary is the future of humanity. Your sacrifice will be written into the history books. You will never be forgotten. That night, I was taken to a research facility 28 floors underground. At the same time, Evelyn, having searched the hospital in vain, received the news of my death. She stumbled home in a daze, only to find the apartment being stripped of every trace of me. A signed divorce decree sat on the coffee table. By mutual consent, the marriage of Leo Vance and Evelyn Reed is hereby dissolved due to irreconcilable differences. Evelyn's face went chalk white. She clutched the paper, her legs giving out as she collapsed to her knees. How can this be? Leo is dead. Hot tears fell onto the back of her hand. She was weeping before she even realized it. She just kept murmuring, "This isn't possible. It can't be true," Director Reed, a guard in a hazmat suit, said, his voice muffled. By the time we arrived, Mr. Vance's body had been torn apart by the dead. He was barely holding on. We are acting on his final wishes. He did not wish to die while still legally married to you. He requested the divorce decree and asked that we remove all of his belongings from the premises. The guard's words were like hammer blows to her heart. On his sleeve, the red light of a body cam blinked, transmitting everything he saw directly to a monitor in front of me. I watched as Evelyn stared blankly for a moment, and then began to laugh. She waved the divorce paper. "I see. This is a game. Leo sent you here to act this out. How pathetic. Does he really think this little fake death stunt will make me feel guilty? Make me regret anything?" Her expression hardened. "Impossible. I don't consent to this divorce. Not unless Leo comes and tells me to my face. Otherwise, even in death, he is still my husband." Two other guards began carrying our life-sized wedding portrait out of the bedroom. A surge of desperate strength coursed through Evelyn. "Leo isn't dead. You will not take his things. I am the director of medical research. I order you to put that down right now." Caleb, standing nearby, stared wide-eyed. He grabbed Evelyn's arm. "Evelyn, those are the director's personal guards. They wouldn't lie about something like this." His face contorted with grief. "You have to accept it. Leo is gone." He bowed his head, wiping away fake tears. "It's all my fault. If I hadn't passed out, we could have carried him out. He wouldn't have died. Evelyn, I know he was still mad at me for not protecting him on the mission, but I never thought he'd take it out on you, even in death." He looked at the guard, his voice full of sorrow. "Sir, my sister and Leo loved each other very much. He was just saying things in anger. If you let them get divorced now, Leo was an orphan. Who will claim his body? Who will arrange his funeral? The same old act. Every time we fought, Caleb's pathetic, groveling performance would win him more of Evelyn's affection. He clung to her, pretending to defend me, while every word was a subtle dig, a way to belittle me. He expected her to react, as she always did, by lashing out at me in his defense. But this time, Evelyn said nothing. She lunged forward, trying to stop them from taking the last of our photos and memories. She knocked over a box, and its contents spilled across the floor. Forgotten pieces of our past lay scattered at her feet. 100 handwritten letters. Back when the sanctuary was first built, before long-range communication was reliable, I wrote to her every day from the field. I told her I was safe, reported my successes, and never mentioned my struggles. She never wrote back. But when Caleb joined the Vanguard, she video-called him every single night, terrified he might get a scratch. She used to have stomach problems. I'd created a binder of handwritten recipes for her, full of meals to help her heal. She ate them every day. Then Caleb got sick, and she asked me for the binder. This woman, who had never cooked a day in her life, burned her fingers trying to make soup for him. But she had loved me once. Evelyn stared in shock at the photo albums. There were so many pictures of us. But in almost every single one, Caleb was there, a shadow in the frame. Her fingers traced over the photos, flipping backward through time. Suddenly, she stopped. In the older photos, the way she was looking at me. And the further back she went, the more genuine the look in her eyes became. It was something that could even be called love. Evelyn stared at these relics, her fingers frozen. The tears had stopped, but a bitter ache rose in her chest. She was so absorbed she didn't even notice that Caleb, whom she had shoved aside, had gashed his thigh on a broken picture frame and was bleeding profusely. Caleb pouted, his face a mask of petulance. Evelyn, I'm hurt. It really hurts. You have to take me to the infirmary. Evelyn brushed his hand away, as if she couldn't hear him. She grabbed the guard's sleeve, her eyes wild with regret and panic. The show is over. Take me to him. Take me to Leo. I was wrong. I see it all so clearly now. I love him. I need to apologize to him. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to him. The guard coolly pulled his sleeve from her grasp and slapped a piece of paper onto her chest. Mr. Leo Vance is dead. This is his death certificate. Director Reed, please accept reality. Evelyn refused. She tore the documents to shreds and screamed at the guards to get out, but she couldn't stop them from hauling away the last traces of me. When they were gone, the apartment wasn't empty, but it felt terrifyingly vast. Caleb was still whining. It hurts so much, Evelyn. I think I'm dying. Evelyn seemed not to hear him. Her face was a coal mask. Caleb, you are 25 years old. You're not a child who needs to be coddled. Go to the infirmary yourself. The woman who used to fret over his every scrape and bruise now stared at a serious injury without blinking. You are a member of the Vanguard. You're supposed to fight the dead. If you cry over a little cut like this, how are you ever going to protect the people of this sanctuary? She threw him out. The next day, Caleb was ordered to lead a mission against the newest swarm. It was broadcast live to the entire sanctuary. He was completely useless. He was a coward, fumbling with his weapon so badly he nearly shot one of his own teammates. In his panic, he drew the Horde's attention, trapping the Vanguard between two fronts. If the director hadn't predicted this and sent a veteran team to shadow them, the entire squad would have been wiped out. His incompetence was on full display for everyone to see. The network lit up with comments. What the hell? I thought Caleb Reed was the Vanguard's ace? Did he hit his head or something? Wait, he's supposed to have fought off like 20 swarms, gone deep into dead territory, and killed Alpha-class walkers. Is that all a lie? So it was all fake. Caleb's performance was all the proof they needed. Then, a new video began to circulate online. The security footage from my hospital ward. It showed Caleb, hearing the dead were coming, fainting like a scared child. And it showed Evelyn, the so-called savior of humanity, abandoning me without a second thought to save herself. The video ended at the exact moment the dead lunged for me. Holy crap, he fainted? I heard from Survivor that Leo cut his own hand to draw the dead to him with the smell of blood. He saved a lot of lives, but didn't he just have his leg amputated? He couldn't even run. Evelyn just left him there to die. Caleb is supposed to be this big hero, but he passes out at the sight of a few walkers? What a joke. I'm in the Vanguard. We were ordered to keep quiet, but screw it. I have to speak up for Captain Vance. Caleb Reed is nothing but a freeloader who got in because of his sister. He's a menace who almost got us all killed multiple times. He has zero skills. Leo had to cover for him constantly, and then this piece of trash stole all his credit. A hero? He's a goddamn fraud. I heard those researchers who did the amputation on Captain Vance were exiled to the outer sector. Is anyone else thinking there was some serious foul play here? The public outrage was explosive. More and more people came forward to tell the truth. The people of the sanctuary finally realized they had been worshiping a false idol. Caleb Reed became a pariah. He was thrown out of the Vanguard. For his actions during the broadcast, which were deemed to have endangered his teammates, Command decided to exile him to the outer sector. In desperation, Caleb ran to Evelyn. Evelyn, save me. The outer sector is so dangerous. If I go there, I'll die. You have to help me. Or you could marry me. His eyes were manic. You're the director of medical research. Your family gets to stay in the inner sector. They know we're not related by blood anymore, so we could get married. If I'm your husband, they'll have no reason to kick me out. Evelyn, say something. Didn't you always say you wanted to be with me forever? In that moment, something in Evelyn finally snapped into place. Caleb, I have always seen you as my brother. I protected you from my parents. I protected you so you could have a place in this new world. But I cannot protect you forever. Caleb's face turned a mottled shade of red and white. He shot to his feet. Evelyn, are you kidding me? After all these years, after everything, who would believe we're just brother and sister? He was spitting his words, not thinking. Leo's dead now. We can finally get married and be together forever. What's wrong with that? Evelyn stared at him. For the first time, she truly saw him. His twisted face, the venom in his words. Caleb, I was wrong in the past. I did things that made you misunderstand. But I know now, what I felt for you was the love of a sister and nothing more. I will not marry you. Leo was and always will be my only husband. Caleb lost control. His voice became a shrill scream. You call me your brother now? Don't tell me you've actually fallen in love with Leo. If you don't marry me, you're sending me to my death. How am I supposed to survive in the outer sector? You can't do this to me. Evelyn's face was like ice. She raised her hand and slapped him hard across the face. Leo, with one leg, stood his ground and faced the dead alone. You are a coward, and I cannot protect you for the rest of your life. Caleb, I'll say it one last time. I only see you as a brother. I will not marry you. Even in the outer sector, you have 2 hands and 2 feet. You won't die. You cannot depend on me forever. A dark red handprint bloomed on Caleb's cheek. He suddenly started laughing. You're pathetic, Evelyn. You only want what you can't have, don't you? When Leo loved you, when he was practically licking your boots, you didn't want him. Now that he's dead, you're putting on this big show of grief. You don't love anyone, Evelyn. You only love yourself. You cut off his leg for my sake, made it so he couldn't escape. You're the one who killed him. And I'll tell you the truth. I wasn't that scared. I faked fainting. But when it came down to a choice between the two of us, you still chose me, didn't you? So stop pretending you're some kind of saint. Stop pretending it was true love. It's all bullshit. He cackled madly as a furious Evelyn had him thrown out. He was exiled to the outer sector. Unable to work, he survived by stealing. After being caught several times, a local gang chopped off all of his fingers and threw him outside the walls. After that, he was presumed dead. The researchers successfully synthesized an antibody from my blood. The serum went into production. The experiment was a success. While it couldn't reverse the zombification process in those already turned, it could inoculate healthy individuals, making them immune to the necrovirus. Project Stardust was a success. The second year, the serum was distributed to the public. The apocalypse was contained. The third year, the last of the dead were purged. People began to reclaim their old world. The deep freeze ended. The sun, for the first time in years, rose with a warm, gentle light instead of a cold, pale glare. I stood in the sunlight, feeling its warmth on my skin for the first time without shivering. The director handed me an envelope. In here is a new ID and a transfer of $300 million. We've set aside a house for you in one of the new settlements in the Southern Territories. You can live out the rest of your life there. We will announce your contribution to the world, but your personal details and likeness will remain classified until after your death. Your privacy will be protected. If you need anything, call this secure line. A dedicated agent will assist you. Any reasonable request will be granted. I took the envelope and thanked her sincerely. Director, thank you. She paused, then gave me a genuine smile, the first I'd ever truly seen from her. Leo, you are a hero of humanity. We are the ones who should be thanking you. One last thing. Evelyn Reed has been arrested and charged with aggravated assault and criminal negligence. She will likely spend the rest of her life in prison. Her expression grew troubled. When we found her, she'd lost her mind. She had broken both of her own legs and was just crawling around your old apartment. She was trying to cook for you when we arrested her. Said she couldn't use any shellfish because you were allergic. She never stopped regretting that she didn't save you. Do you want to see her? I shook my head. No, the love and hate of the past had faded with time. The moment I chose to join Project Stardust, my future was severed from Evelyn Reed. From that day on, we walked our own separate paths. Sunlight streamed down as I got into the waiting car and headed south. I still had time. Time to see this new world. Humanity's new world.